Welcome to Life Hacks from the Baobab with Mayase and Clayton, where proverbs, folktales, and ancient wisdom come to life. We would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the lands on which we meet, the Bonowarong and Wadawarong in Victoria, and the Kabi Kabi peoples in Queensland. We pay our respects to elders past and present. We're excited for another proverb, digging into another proverb this week. So the proverb of the week is from the Banyankole in Western Uganda.
Owahinga tareva higuru. It means if a farmer is to go by just the weather, by looking up in the sky, to wait for the rain to fall and the plants, there you would lose time. But the farmers are guided by seasons. For a farmer, if it's a season, whether it is dry or wet, you just plant, and the seasons features would reshape themselves, and you support your plants, but not just weather changes. That's what it means. Owahinga tareba higuru. Thank you.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you to our uncle in UG with all the wisdom.
Yeah.
This is a really good one. I love the metaphor of like the sky and the seasons, because I was thinking about like the skies, like skies are there every day, 24/7, skies are there. But seasons have their own kind of like timings. They come at certain times, and in some countries, they're once a year. You have the season, unless you're in Melbourne, where you can have 4 seasons in one day, right? This is why we don't have a lot of farmers in Melbourne. But yeah, even in the essence of the metaphor in the proverb of like, you can't just look up to the sky and like, the sky is blue, I'm going to plant today. You have to follow the season. That was like pretty good for me, just to kind of like, sky is every day. Sky is deceptive. If it's
Yeah.
Melbourne skies, forget it. Like you're never going to plant anything. But really, like in our day to days, there's things that we should not be fooled by. That's what I was getting from this. Like the things that are in due season need to be made in due season. The decisions that need to take time, that need a long view. You can't be making a long-term decision on a short-term mindset.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Yeah, like you need to differentiate. You need to differentiate like what's long term, what's short term. And there'll be things that will not grow in a particular season because it's not their season to grow.
Yeah.
And we push against a lot of things because we want them now. We're fast consumers. It's like, Shin, bring my thing tomorrow. Amazon, drop it. Prime will, if I order now, they'll bring it at midnight. And because of that, I feel like we've forgotten the fact that there are things that are seasonal, and we shouldn't be expecting things to be there every day, like the sky.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. And I think it's really good because like I also think about the direct translation because it's talking about the if I translate directly, it's like the one who digs, right? Like if you are to be the one who's going, to till the land, don't look up. Just focus on this because like you need to get this done, right? Because uh, if you start getting distracted by what's going on around, yeah, you're not gonna finish this
Yeah.
task, right? Because you may start thinking, oh, it looks like it may rain. Maybe I shouldn't do this. It looks like it's gonna be sunny. Then you make decisions based of that, but that's temporary. And seasons. are way broader than what you're looking at right now, what's happening in the sky. And so for me, like this seasonal thinking is more is it just a recent kind of like way of thinking that I've sort of started to adopt, because like it's a different mode of thinking. Like, you know, i- if you're more of the here, the now, I just want to, I'm making it, then let me consume it, and we'll see tomorrow when tomorrow comes, right? Yeah, you can't start planning long term and start thinking in seasons and understanding that things have times. Like you let's say you have like a loan, we're saying in another time that the interest rates go up, right? But then they'll come down, right?
Yeah.
Like then they'll go up. There'll be a time when they're going up, there'll be a time when they're coming down, and you have to acknowledge that you're now in the time when they're going up. Hopefully they don't go too high up. And then at some point they're gonna come down. And so for me, it sort of like still goes back to that awareness of like really understanding the bigger picture in which you are, that season in which you are, like how does it behave, what happens,
How do
and
you know the
yeah,
season? How do
sorry.
you know? How do you know that this is my season for planting? And the
Mm,
seasons are different, right? The season we're planting maize is not the season we're planting
yeah,
cucumber, is not the
yeah,
season we're planting mangoes. And
yeah.
like, how do I know that this is the season for this thing?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And like an example I can use, is you can't use uh, the indicators inside the system to predict what's going on inside. Like you can't uh, for you to understand what's going on, you need to go outside that box in which you are. Like as they'll say, you have to think outside the box, right? Because whatever is inside the box is only going to tell you about the information inside the box. For you to know the bigger picture, you're going to have to break that barrier and think in a much broader sense. And so, to make you need basically to identify other information sources and look at other things that are happening beyond what you're looking at. For example, going back to that idea of the farmer, it's like the farmer needs to plant, let's say, potatoes, and potatoes are going to take about 3 months, which is about 90 days. And they need to know that, okay, once I set them up, I should be able to get at least 80 to 90 days, time frame of the conditions that will allow them to kind of like flourish and I'd be able to get something out. And so what do? It's like if you look at, you know, in the older days, they would study the skies, and there's so much into astronomy whereby they understand the movement of the moon. And it's like, why are you studying the moon to understand when to plant? Because like, oh, when we study the moon tells us about what's likely to happen with the sun and how often it will be there. It's like you have to study the moon to understand the behavior of the sun so that you know how long you can get to grow potatoes. And so it's like that out of the box thinking, like, yeah, it's like they've done it. And for us who are like very logical and scientific and very modern, it's like, it's not obvious. It doesn't make sense. We want it to be directly correlated. And if it's not, we kind of dismiss it. Uh, but yeah, like it humbles you when you actually look outside the picture and then you start to see some answers that are not things you can directly explain.
Yeah, yeah, and also like in the grand scheme of things as well, like the particular season for something might also be like a wow before, or like if you miss this potato season, you have to wait you can't just be like, oh, I'm gonna plant it after 3. Like you've
Yeah.
missed that season where you're gonna get 90 days for the potatoes to be growing and healthy and a good size. So you have to wait for the next. The waiting part is the hard part, I think.
Yeah.
When it comes to following seasons, I feel like the waiting part is the hard part. I was actually like just this week, um, and sometimes you don't even know that you've brought yourself into anxiety because of the waiting. You're like, I'm okay to wait. And then every second I'm checking my emails. I'm like, have they responded? Well, they haven't responded today. Okay. Tomorrow they'll respond. Early, first thing in the morning, I check, have they responded? And that's been me in the past week. I've been waiting for a
This
response.
is you waiting as you're checking the response
But I'm not
continuously.
waiting, right? Because every day I'm like, and then at the end, I'm like, do you think they're ever going to respond? Maybe they'll never respond.
Yeah.
And then I start spiraling into some fear things of like, oh, what happens if they don't respond the way I want them to respond? Oh
Yeah.
my God. Wait. So I am really learning to be in the season as well of just like when you're waiting, then you should actually be like actively waiting. And if you're very much into like spirituality or into the realm of like knowing what's supposed to be yours is going to come to you, then there
Mm.
should be no fear there. Then it
Yeah.
should be like at the right time they will respond with the answer that I want. If
Yeah.
they don't respond now, it's OG. I should
Mm.
sleep and not fuss about it.
Yeah, definitely. It's like almost a practice. You have to develop certain practices to help you. And I think that is why like some of these things you'd find them in. I've had someone describe it as the priest class of a society. It's like there is this group of people who are so seasoned at studying the bigger picture, who are directly influencing the culture that's developing there. And if you look at different traditions, different cultures, they all have this, doctrine of things, of why certain things that they can't really directly articulate. It's like, no, that's how that's always been. We've always done it that way, and there's good reasons. They don't add that. I
Yeah.
wish they could, and say like, there's good reasons for this. Like, there's so many things that have been, you know, happening that have led for us to kind of like
Mm.
hone
That the
or to this doctrine and say this is what works.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, but they don't add that disclaimer. I wish they would do it more often because then we'd start taking it more seriously. Because if you're from your TikToks and your Insta and somebody says that's how it's always been, you kind of go like, no, I don't have to take care about that. I don't have to look at it anyway. I'm just gonna do whatever I want until it doesn't work.
Yeah, yeah. It's like why aren't seasons open for breaking, right? So
Yeah,
summer, why can't we just do wintry things in summer? Why can't we do autumny things in whatever winter? That sort of thing. Like, what
yeah.
is that is season and doesn't break? And I think this for me also feels similar to like a couple of weeks ago when we did that proverb about a rock and how a rock is unmovable.
Mm.
Seasons also have this thing about them, global warming aside. Seasons have this thing about them that their nature,
Yeah.
and they come when they come, and they have a flavor to them. And
Mm.
as much as we're changing them because of global warming and all of these things, but even the change is like the season is something that's nature. It doesn't, to a point, doesn't change, right? If it's summer, we're expecting most days to be warmer than they are in winter.
Yeah.
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 Now we can be like, oh, the summers are extra hot because of whatever global warming or that type of thing. But that the theme of it is summers is about warmth, higher
Mm.
temperatures than everything else, and you cannot change that. If you
Yeah.
change that, then it's something else. It's not summer, right? And
Yeah.
even that for me is like there are things that are forces of nature. And again, we shouldn't be finishing all our energies pushing against them. We
Yeah.
should know when you're like, this is a force of nature. My way to move with this force of nature is to go with it, whether
Yeah.
it's going with it, whether it's waiting, whatever that movement is in due season,
Mhm.
you need to follow that so that you're not pressing against the force of nature because you will always lose.
Yeah, totally. It's a good like I really like that, knowing that this is a force of nature and you have to walk with it. And it reminded me of like, the kind of relation in which you are with whatever is happening, right? Like if it's nature, it's more that kind of relation whereby you have to walk with. It's like
Mhm.
you your ability to influence the nature is by how you work with it.
Mhm.
It's like, the nature just decides the rain is going to pour. Now you have to decide what you're going to do about the pouring rain. Like you can walk through and get wet, or you could walk with an umbrella and the rain is not going to stop, right? Like it's going to do what the rain is going to do. Now you have to decide how to work with it, right? Yeah, but you have to understand that, oh, like this is where we're working with, right? Uh, this is not like, clay which we have to shape.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have to shape ourselves to it, right? And then,
Yes.
of course, those other scenarios whereby uh, it's sort of like just it's a different kind of dynamic whereby you make it work for you, and so you influence it, and so this is different. And so telling those apart, like, is really, really a good rule of thumb, because then it helps you to have a way to respond to the
Yeah.
scenario. Otherwise, you won't know how to respond. And, so like make a play with it. It's like, then when you don't know how to respond, then you have no ability to respond. And then you lose the responsibility. And then it's like, ah, no.
Yeah, yeah. And it is. It's like, you're either dancing in the rain or you're crying about the rain. Like,
Yeah.
pick something because the rain, like you were saying, is going to rain. It's not changing now. It's not just going to be like, okay, you don't want me to rain. I'm not going to rain. So, how are you going to kind of like just move with that nature and just use your energy? And then I think once you're kind of doing that, whether you're dancing in the rain, you're wearing your raincoat, you're carrying your umbrella, you get to then use that nature to kind of like feed what you need to do. You're not pushing
Mhm.
against it to, get frustrated because that's what you
Yeah.
were going to do. In the end, when we react that way, all we're doing is like frustrating ourselves and finishing our own energy as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. Pushing against the rock, right?
And this time it's like pushing against summer. Pushing against winter. Yeah, yeah. I also like the just thinking about the themes of the proverb itself. It has the farmer, it has the sky, it has, seasons. And I liked what you were talking about in terms of like you as the farmer, you just need to focus on your farming, right? The season is the season. This is your season to plant. Plant those seeds. If it's the season to plant, don't you be out here doing as if you're harvesting. It's not
Yeah.
the season for harvest. Like, take care of those plants, nourish them. When it's the season for harvesting, start doing the harvesting. Like, just have that mindset of like, this is my time to flow and work, deep thinking, get into it. This is my time to relax and chill, get into it as well. Like just have those seasons. Not everything is like deep thinking 24/7, 365. That's not our, how our lives are built. We should also
Yeah.
just differentiate and give ourselves time to do different aspects of things.
Yes. Totally. Wow. All
Yeah.
right. Key takeaways. What are you taking away?
So many things to take away. I'm like, where do I start? Don't push against season. um, I think for me, it's really just like I love that simple analogy of like, don't just follow the skies, follow the season. Don't just look up and make rash decisions. Take some time to understand what season you're in. If you need to make a long-term view decision, take your time. You don't need to make it today. Like, think about it. 1 week, 1 month. It's a long-term view that you're deciding for. So,
Mm.
yeah, just really lean into if something is not working, maybe it's not the time for it. Park it and look at something else.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. So for myself, what I'm taking away is like somebody said the other day, is like be like water. It's like, like get flowy. But in all seriousness, it's like really understand how to have that flexibility such that you can respond to what's going on. And the interesting thing is like when you're responding the way you should, then it's sort of like it's almost like effortless. It sort of like just works. And
Yeah.
so try to find that position. I like twist yourself around so you can get to the place where it just works, or kind of like works better than how it's working. For me,
Yes.
that's sort of like what I'm going with from this. Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, let's hear from everyone else. Tell us how you can use this proverb in your life. Also, yeah, share your proverbs.
So yeah, so thank you again for being part of our community. Share your thoughts and proverbs using the hashtag lifehacks from the Baobab, and connect with us at Baobab Lifehacks. Until next time, remember, ancient wisdom is timeless.